Ethan Hale had lived most of his life in quiet isolation on the 200-acre ranch his grandfather left him, rolling Arizona desert, sandstone ridges, whispering wind, and a silence that felt older than the sky itself. He was used to the land's strange moods, red storms, sudden cool breezes, the eerie hoot of owls at night, but nothing prepared him for what he unearthed the morning he noticed a glint of silver half buried near an old cottonwood tree. At first he thought it was just another rusted cattle tag, or maybe one of the antique bullets he sometimes found left behind by settlers, but as he brushed away the red dust, his fingers trembled. It wasn't metal from this era at all. It was smooth, cold, carved with markings he didn't recognize. Spirals, arrows, and a symbol like a rising storm. The relic pulsed warmth in his palm, as though the desert sun lived inside it. The moment he lifted it fully from the ground, the wind stopped. The entire stretch of the ranch fell silent, like the world inhaled and forgot to exhale. That night the silence followed him. Coyotes didn't howl. The horses refused to approach the corral fence. Even the stars seemed dimmer. Ethan couldn't sleep. The relic lay on his table, glowing faintly as if breathing. By dawn he heard the thunder of hooves, several dozen riders approaching fast. He stepped outside and froze. A full Apache patrol moved across his land, their horses kicking up spirals of dust. At the front rode an elder, straight-backed and stern, with braided silver hair that glinted under the rising sun. Behind him were warriors, modern, disciplined, carrying rifles but dressed in traditional colors. Ethan's heart hammered. He knew immediately they weren't here for him. They were here for the relic. The elder dismounted without a word, his dark eyes scanning Ethan with unsettling calm. "You have found something that belongs to us," he said in a voice deep enough to shake the morning air. Ethan swallowed and nodded slowly, but before he could speak, the elder held up a hand. "What you hold is older than your nation, older than the fences you build, older than even our stories." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine as the elder stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Where is the Stormheart?" Ethan blinked. "The what?" The elder's face hardened. "The relic you removed. It was buried for a reason. Its awakening will call shadows we have kept silent for generations." Before Ethan could respond, another Apache rider called out, "Elder, the land is stirring." They pointed toward the cottonwood tree. The sand around it was shifting slowly, like something beneath the ground was rising or crawling or awakening. Ethan's stomach twisted. The elder looked back at him with grim urgency. "You have disturbed a binding, and now the land remembers." The relic on Ethan's table, still inside the house, let out a distant, metallic hum. But the elder wasn't done. He stepped close until his face was inches from Ethan's. "We cannot leave without it. And before this day ends, you will have to choose between giving it to us or facing what it kept asleep." Ethan's breath shook. All he wanted was a quiet life. But the desert had chosen him for something far older, far darker. And the Apaches were no longer asking. They were preparing for battle. As the riders formed a circle around his ranch and the desert wind began howling again, Ethan realized the terrifying truth. The relic didn't just belong to the tribe, it was a warning. The earth itself had sealed away, and he had unlocked it. The Apache patrol wasted no time turning Ethan's land into a fortified perimeter. They placed watchers on the ridges, scouts near the dry creek, and 6 warriors formed a protective circle around the cottonwood tree where the ground kept shifting. The elder, whose name Ethan learned was Nietzsche, ordered Ethan to bring the relic. Ethan hesitated, not because he wanted to keep it, but because something inside him whispered that once he handed it over, something irreversible would begin. But the hum inside the house grew louder, as if the relic was calling for resolution. When Ethan carried it outside wrapped in cloth, the warrior stepped back with visible fear. Even Nietzsche narrowed his eyes. "It has awakened fully," the elder murmured. "We must act before twilight." Ethan didn't understand any of this. "Why me?" he asked. "Why my land?" Nietzsche placed a hand on the relic, and for a moment, the markings glowed under his touch. "Because your grandfather protected this place. He made a pact with us long ago." Ethan froze. "My grandfather never mentioned anything." Nietzsche nodded solemnly. "He wasn't allowed to. He guarded this land so the Stormheart could rest without being found. But now that it has chosen you, we must finish what he started. Ethan felt the sky darken, not with clouds but with an ancient heaviness. The ground near the cottonwood tree suddenly cracked open, and a gust of icy wind burst from the earth. The Apache warriors raised their weapons. A low rumble crawled through the sand. Nietzsche turned to Ethan urgently. "We need you for the sealing ritual." The relic responded to you. Without the one who awakened it, we cannot close the breach. Ethan wanted to protest, run, do anything except face whatever was climbing out of the earth, but the ground split wider, and a towering shadow rose, shaped like a man but twisted, hollow-eyed, and made of wind and sand and ancient fury. The Apache warriors opened fire, but bullets spiraled harmlessly through the creature. Nietzsche thrust the relic into Ethan's hands. "You must command it. The Stormheart obeys only its awakener." Ethan's hand shook as the relic pulsed like a heartbeat. The creature roared, sending warriors tumbling like leaves. Ethan felt something inside the relic speak, not words, but instinct guiding him to raise it high. Light burst from it, slicing through the shadow's form. The creature shrieked and recoiled. Ethan stepped forward, shouting from a place in his soul he didn't know existed. The light grew brighter, swirling like a storm funnel, pulling the shadow toward the relic. The ground rumbled violently as the creature screamed and collapsed inward like smoke being inhaled by fire. With a final blinding flash, everything went silent. The shadow vanished, the earth sealed, and Ethan collapsed to his knees. The relic dimmed and turned cold. The Apache warriors slowly approached, awe in their eyes. Nietzsche placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Your grandfather would be proud. You have fulfilled his promise and saved far more than you know." Ethan exhaled shakily. "So what happens now?" Nietzsche looked to the horizon. "Now the Stormheart returns to its resting place. And you, Ethan Hale, you are now part of our story. The land will remember you." The patrol mounted their horses. Before leaving, Nietzsche turned with a faint smile. "And if you ever need us, just listen to the wind." As the Apache patrol rode away and the desert returned to its ancient quiet, Ethan stood alone on the ridge, staring at the place where the earth had cracked open. He had survived something impossible, something sacred, something terrifying, and something unforgettable. He walked back toward his house, knowing one thing for sure. This story deserved to be told, and the world needed to hear it.